Welcome back to another episode of Toon Talk TV. Everything brought to you by We Are the Television. If you're a fan of this video, check out the Patreon. Like, follow, subscribe. We got some really cool shit on there. Today's episode, we got another special guest. He introduced the world to Purple a few pods back, but it's singer, songwriter, comedian, voice actor, resident badass, the one, the only, Rob Valdez.
And it's also his birthday today, so happy birthday, bro.
Hey, Feliz cumpleaños. Rob, how's the day treating you today on your day of birth?
I feel good, man. Just, fucking tired from work. But I'm good. I can't complain, man.
Did you just wake up or no?
Around noon. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Nothing's changed, man. I still feel like 20, whatever.
Dude, you can drink like you're 22. Just fucking pound and bruise.
No, he can't.
No,
Dude,
I definitely
can't. He is done.
No, my tolerance for that shit is low as fuck now.
Low T when it comes to the brews. Well, this episode, let's just fucking dive into it because we got some new tunes on the table. All of these are new ones that either A, we've never heard of, and probably the first time seeing. Rob, as the special guest of this episode, what cartoon are you watching?
I had to check out Velma. I've been hearing a lot of bad shit about it. So I was like, all right, I kind of like hating things. Let's see why it's so terrible. And it's got the same tropes as every other, like, modern age shit. Shitting on white people, adding lesbians for no reason. Which is, like, it doesn't bother me, but when you throw it in there because you feel like you have to, I'm not stupid, dude. I can tell when you're doing something, like, authentically or not.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like I have more shit to say about this cartoon than the cartoon that I brought to the table. Because I wasn't going to watch that either, but when you said you were bringing it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this. But I was happy that they brought back all the OGs, Velma, Daphne, Fred, and Norville. Dude.
Black Shaggy.
His name's not even Shaggy.
Was that, dude?
It's Norville.
What the? That's not even a name. Like, what is that, dude?
It's like popcorn or something, dude. I don't know.
They're gonna make Scooby-Doo a cat in this one.
Popcorn, dude.
No, Brett. Rob mentioned a few things. Did you find similar tropes, and did you, what was your just overall thoughts of this cartoon?
Well, Rob, you brought it. I want to say, are you fully hating on it? Like, did it suck the whole way through? For you,
it wasn't like completely terrible. Like, it's like, visual. It's background noise for me. Like, when I watch anything, really, I have a hard time focusing on anything. But I think the only part that really sucked about it, though, is like Fred is the only like main character white guy, and they fucking throw this dude under the bus. Like they don't even like give him puberty in the show. He's rich. They just use him as a punching bag.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I will say that when I watched it, I was fully ready to just hate on it the whole fucking time, and immediately I did. With like going right into the first episode, they pulled out all of the stupidest shit. Like they were like talking. They broke the wall like in the first 5 seconds when they were talking about like pilot episodes show too much sex while girls are in the bathroom like
cartoon titties
with studs on their tits.
Yeah. But I do think there was some redeeming qualities about it. And I think the only redeeming qualities was that I was still after the fourth. Well, they put it out in 2 episodes, right? Like they'll like release 2 episodes at a time. Yeah. Like, have you guys seen 4 episodes or 2?
Just the 2.
I'm going to be honest with you. I only watched 1.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well,
1.5
let me say this. All right. So they released another 2 yesterday. So I watched them pretty much. I watched both those last 2 episodes yesterday. So it's almost to me like a. At the end of it, it got to a guilty pleasure because it was just like. It was pretty bad.
Terrible shit that they can bring up now.
Fucking bad. But I did like how they took. It's like a mystery series now, which was the normal Scooby Doo, but they're doing it throughout like a season, like who's the killer type shit. But besides that, like I thought the art quality was actually kind of cool too. I did like the. It reminded me of Venture Brothers. If you guys have ever seen that, but yeah, outside of that, like. What the fuck was the point of changing every character's ethnicity and like all right, first of all, Daphne,
sexuality?
Yeah, Daphne was Asian, and the only reason she's Asian was because she said it. Like she doesn't look Asian. She has red hair. What the fuck is that? Like,
During
what
the
even
first
is
5
that?
minutes, Velma asked her a normal question, and she answered, well, as an Asian woman, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, why did she even have to say that?
No, it's not what
They're checking off
a
boxes.
normal person would say. Yeah,
No, they're checking off boxes.
Do you guys think a cartoon like this is intended to take itself seriously, or do you think it's making fun of checking off boxes?
Oh, I think they fully did
Yeah,
that.
that's a good question,
I don't
man.
think it's making fun of itself. I don't think it's self-aware. I think it's actively trying to check off boxes. Just because it's by Mindy Kaling, or like, I feel like she
Needs to check off boxes.
I mean, I might be wrong by saying that. Someone could tell, like, but it feels like I got to check off all the boxes here.
Yeah, I felt that way the entire first episode. I feel like the writers were like, all right, let's deconstruct these characters and just use the names basically and change every fucking thing about them.
Which at that point, like, just write a fucking new show. Like, what?
right?
The point?
This
What was the point of
easily-
bringing Scooby Doo in there?
This easily could have been its own thing. Like being Velma,
Which
and
may have
Daphne
made
and
it
Fred
better.
Yeah, like I don't understand why. Like Fred's supposed to be part of the group. They shit on him all the time. So I don't know if this is going to lead to like the core group later down the road. But right now, it's not making sense.
Dude,
as why it's a Scooby Doo show.
They're gonna pull some multiverse stuff, and at the end they're gonna introduce the actual Scooby Doo characters and let us know that these were all just kids that looked like the Scooby Doo characters, but the real Scooby Doo characters actually exist.
Dude,
They're gonna meta this shit for some reason.
the
Did
Shaggy
you catch
character.
who's voicing Fred?
Yeah, Glenn Hawthorne from Always Sunny. That was probably my favorite part of
Wait,
this.
Hawthorne
Wait,
or Howerton? Isn't it?
Howerton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which surprised the fuck out of me because it doesn't sound like him. Like he
Wait a
actually
minute.
did voice acting work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's him from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Oh, his IMDb page
Dennis.
Picture looks fun. He looks like Robert De Niro. I didn't even know that was him.
I got to look at that.
I had no idea that was him.
I'm gonna go on board with Rob and be like, this was a stinker show. I don't know if I'm gonna continue with it. I'll probably put it on to see if it progresses, but for me, thumbs down. 2 thumbs down for Velma on HBO Max. But we will link to it. And
One more thing I want to talk about with this subject. Because we're on Scooby-Doo and we'll probably never talk about... I mean, maybe we'll talk about Scooby-Doo in the future. But why is Velma the, like, cosplay character to be? Like, why, whenever you see cosplay, you see Velma characters? Have you ever noticed that or no?
Like
Dude,
sexy Velma or just Velma in
Sexy,
general?
yeah, sexy Velma.
Horny
What is
nerds,
that?
dude.
Yeah, what is
Horny
that, dude?
nerds.
Like, I feel like she's not a sexy character to begin with, and every like cosplay girl is like, I'm gonna be sexy Velma. What is that?
'Cause they want to
Dude,
fix her, dude.
tell us in the
Daphne
comments what
is
people
sexy.
think.
Yeah,
Daphne's already sexy.
Daphne is sexy.
They're like, I can fix Velma. I can make her sexy.
People like the challenge, Brett. People like the challenge.
all right.
Moving on to our so we already got our first stinker. Moving on to Brett. Brett, what cartoon are you watching?
I'm pissed that I picked this one because I don't think it was fully cooked when I picked it. I also was going to consider this one a stinker. It was Koala Man.
Okay.
I've done Michael Cusack shows in the past, and I've done 2 actually on this podcast, and I hyped up this cartoon a lot, and I don't think it bought into the hype. I don't think it was that great. But I will say towards the end, I watched all 8 episodes, and by the time I got to the end of it, it had a pretty fucking good ending. So
It did.
So I guess my question to you guys is, has a show ever redeemed itself for you? Have you ever started watching the first few episodes, said this sucks, kept watching, and were like, actually, I do like this show?
That is a great question. Rob, do you have one off the top of your head?
The Cleveland Show.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
Everybody hated
That
the
is a good
Cleveland
one.
Show. I fucking liked it. It was 4 seasons long. It wasn't particularly good, but something about it, like, it kept me, man. Probably because I was overburnt with Family Guy, and it was something relatively the same, but a little different.
I don't
What
know
about
if-
that show did you like? Like, what about that show made you turn it on?
Like I said, man, it's just like good background noise. Like, you shut your brain off and just watch Cleveland be
Cleveland?
Cleveland. Like, yeah, he's less Cleveland than Family Guy. Of course, they had to beef him up a little bit to make it entertaining, but I don't know. It was funny. He was like a drunk, fat dad. I don't know, just like the Black Peter, kind of.
You do a pretty good Cleveland, right? Could you do a Cleveland impression?
I don't know if I can, but
Do it, come on.
Oh, what does he say? Oh, that's nasty, Peter. Oh, that's nasty.
Pretty good. That's fucking really good.
That's old Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, kind of just filing through my cartoon memory. I don't know if I've ever had one that has a redeeming one, probably because I don't hate that many. I would say I'm kind of in the same realm as you, Brett. The first few episodes of Koala Man, I thought were good, but not as on par with like YOLO Crystal Fantasy or even the shorts of Damon and Darrow. Damon and what's his name? Was it
Damo and Darren?
Damo and Darren were better than the first couple episodes of Koala Man, but there are a few episodes towards the end that are hilarious, that are pretty good. The Handy episode and kind of the finale, like the ultimate climax, was actually pretty good.
What I think that was a result of is too many cooks in the kitchen. I feel like this show at the end of it had like 5 production cards. There's like Michael Cusack created it, but there was 2 co-developers. There's like I don't know. I feel like it was a good idea to start with, and then everyone wanted a piece of it. So when that happens, I feel like everyone jumps in. All the jokes become like a watered down version of what it once was because everyone wants a hand on it. I feel like this show became that, because if you can write an 8 episode arc that's done well, but every episode in itself isn't modularly like done well, I feel like you fucked it up at some point. I don't know.
Rob, were you able to catch any episodes of Koala Man?
No. I'm looking at the picture, so I remember seeing this though. Is he supposed to be a superhero or like a special kid on the block?
So yeah, he's Australia's version of a superhero, and when they thought of their version of a superhero, he wanted it to be like someone who doesn't have any superpowers. His superpower is he wants the streets clean and like everyone to take out their garbage cans on time and stuff like that. Nothing like, he just wants to live in a good town, which is like, I don't know. What can you do with that concept?
Yeah. And they throw in like actual super villains that he goes up against, but in the most like cartoonish weird ways.
Look at this.
But there is a question, Brett, that I had, because Damo and Darren do appear in this show, and we talked about them on a previous pod that we'll link down below. But the artistic style of Damo and Darren is still the same in Koala Man, which itself is different. how do you feel when a creator takes an existing property that they did, keeps it in the same art style, but then plugs it into something completely different?
That was another thing that I thought was weirdly watered down, was because I do like the style of Damo and Darren, but when you put it in a show where every character was like almost like cookie cutter drawn, it's there's nothing special about the character design in this show. It's just it's there's circles for heads, circles for eyes, nothing's like, and then you see Damo and Darren who are like intricately drawn with like elongated heads, almost like a Beavis and Butthead-ish kind of like style, and and it's out of place. It's like, well, where was the character design on all the other characters? I feel like you're just trying to pump out, like this show screams like I'm trying to pump out a primetime show so we could make 1 million episodes and hopefully it'll last for 12 seasons, when all of his other shows feel like, oh, we better write the best episode right now because I'm not getting another episode after this.
Yeah. Now, is that something that, Rob, you could talk about this too, because you were a fan of King of the Hill.
Hell yeah. Still am.
That had so many seasons. What do you prefer, a shorter season with good writing, or your characters lasting for 12 to 15 seasons and it may get watered down a little bit down the way?
I definitely would prefer it to be shorter and more pure than see it, extend too long and then change. Like King of the Hill, I think that might be my favorite cartoon of all time. But Hank does change towards the end. Like, he was very squeamish in the early seasons of like anything sexual. Anything, he had zero tolerance for like weird shit. And towards the end, he became like a little bit more quiet about it. But I would have I would like to see a show short and pure than overextended and watered down.
Why do you think he got watered down? What like,
I don't know what it was, man. I just think like the show just got a little too polished towards the end.
I would guess that the writers completely changed from, like, because if it lives for years, the writer's room is probably completely different by the end. So they're writing a version of what they thought was Hank.
Right.
And it mutates. So I feel like that's another characteristic that sucks about these shows that last forever. It's just like...
Right, like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like when Conan O'Brien was the writer on the show, it was like... It was sweet. I don't know if it was just him, but like that era of Conan.
Yeah.
The jokes were so fucking stupid and awesome, but now I don't know if you've seen The Simpsons lately. It's fucking
use like cell phones and everything
like
now.
TikTok humor and shit. It's like I'm good, dude.
Do you guys think that's the curse of like popularity? Like when a cartoon gets so popular that it just bends to the will of the people?
Yeah, probably.
They're also running out of ideas, man. That show came out the year I was born, so it's a 34-year-old show.
Well, it also becomes a machine too. You've now, like, I'm Matt Groening. I bet he doesn't even show up anymore. I bet he's doing something completely different, and he could turn on The Simpsons and watch a show that he never even touched. Because it's a machine now. Yeah.
Just throw money in it, and you have people working under you.
Yeah.
Going back to Koala Man, I feel like this is because Justin Roiland's also a producer on this show, and I feel that it is falling victim to kind of like this Rick and Morty-esque cartoon space where everyone's trying to find the next Rick and Morty, trying to find the next adult cartoon, not anime or anything like that, and they're like having to measure themselves from this Rick and Morty measuring stick. Do you agree with that or not, Brett?
I do agree. And something funny about that, with Justin Roiland touching this and all, the only show that I felt similarly about, not liking the first season and actually growing to like it more as the seasons went, was Solar Opposites. I think when I watched the first season of that, I was like, this is going to be a Rick and Morty ripoff dud. But now, after they're in the third season now, like I actually think it's comparable, or even like maybe even better than Rick and Morty. So I don't know. This could happen. This could be that. It could turn into one of those, but right now it just seems like a cash grab.
Uncooked bun in the oven is how they say it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Koala Man now streaming on Hulu?
I thought the song was catchy. I thought the theme song was fucking good, dude. It was, I don't know, it stays in your head.
This episode is not sponsored by Hulu, but if Hulu wanted to sponsor this, we here.
Where we shit on all of your cartoons.
Yeah. So for myself, the cartoon I'm bringing to the table is an oldie and one that I just stumbled upon while watching some of the cartoons Connie brought to the table. Connie was in our special guest in our last week. We'll also link to that one. But it's China, Illinois. Now, were either of you able to catch a few episodes of this?
Yes.
I've seen it in the past because it is from 2008.
Yeah. Brett, for initial thoughts.
Dude, I'm so glad I watched this because I've seen episodes on in the background before, but I did not think I was going to like it, and I was laughing my ass off. I thought some of this shit was funny as fuck. I want to talk about a certain episode in general, but I want you to
jump into it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, there's one of the fucking scenarios were so funny. This guy is a college teacher, and I think his brother is also a college teacher at the same college. But he went off and did a lecture to his students, and it was the perfect lecture. At the end of the lecture, a lightning bolt struck him, and the whole audience was like, whoa, oh my God. And so he felt so proud of himself. He's normally a nerd. He's like, wow, I did it. I'm going to go into another classroom and give the same lecture and get the same feedback. And it was a dud. So he went to his brother and was like, I just did the best lecture ever. How do I recreate that? And he goes, well, let's just rewalk through your day and redo all the steps. And throughout his day, he did the funniest shit. He got super drunk at a Mexican restaurant, barfed in front of everyone, took a shit in the parking lot in front of some girl, and then jacked off in his room for 5 hours. And he had to recreate that in the next day. And it had the spark of the best. He redid the best lecture again and got struck by lightning. So he eventually just was doing Groundhog's Day of that day over and over again for the next week. And you watch his life just like fall apart as it's happening. So it was such an out there concept, but it was a good, I don't know, it was something that I wouldn't normally see on TV.
Yeah. So for me, I guess what initially drew me to this cartoon was the artistic style is pretty simplistic, which is something that I kind of gravitate to. I think that if the story is there and the idea and concepts are there and it's good writing and it's a good idea, you can just fucking throw putty on the screen and I'll fucking watch it and it'll be hilarious. But even just, jumping into like the first episode, Ronald Reagan makes an appearance and is a fucking time traveler. And his only goal is to like shit in this dude's mouth if he impersonates Ronald Reagan again.
He has a time machine where he stops time and he could shit in this person's mouth. Yeah.
And so it's just fucking stupid shit like that, which kind of drew me to this. Chinatown, Illinois is on, HBO Max. There's 3 seasons. I've only gotten through season 1.
Did
but
you
it's
know?
good.
So what's the guy who made this? Ben Neely.
Brad Neely. Yeah.
So he's actually a writer on South Park.
Yes.
So and also I read this somewhere. I might be butchering it, but it was a funny story about him. So he got his start. Taking the Harry Potter movies, one of the Harry Potter movies, and just changing the audio, like he redid the audio over it. And apparently it was so funny, it was starting to film in like theaters, film fest and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it got such a cult following that Warner Brothers sent out a cease and desist and said, if you better not show this anymore, or we're not going to send you any more Warner Brothers films to play at your theater. So I think it's a funny background story.
So he just dubbed over the actual film.
Yeah, him and his friends were just, I guess they were in a bar one night and some guy had his headphones on and they all like were just talking like as if they knew what was happening in the conversation, thought it was so funny, and then just redid it for Harry Potter.
Oh, so like bad lip reads on YouTube, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good. Wow, good for them.
So one of the questions I had for this cartoon, Rob, you can jump on this one too, because it kind of just it's more of a broad conversational topic. But this cartoon, China, Illinois, started as a short on YouTube, that like shorts that he created, and then he kind of just repurposed the characters for this cartoon on Adult Swim. What are your guys' thoughts on people? He could have easily created an original idea, but instead he just took stuff that he already had, repurposed it, made it longer, turned it into a cartoon show. What are your guys' thoughts on that process? Like, you both worked on Tucker Talks. Mm-hmm. Would you take Tucker and just make it a full-length cartoon if you had the opportunity? Or would you kind of try to come up with a new concept, a new idea?
You take this, Rob.
I think that's a tough one, though, because the storyline for Tucker would take a lot of planning, because I really wouldn't know how to fill the space other than just like dumb antics that he does. I mean, actually, I take it back.
Dude, no, I was going to say, I've thought of like 30-minute storylines for that show. Like, I think that's the best route to go, because if you have thought something was a good idea and was able to fill the space with 5 minutes of funny material, or even less, 1 minute of funny material, then why like reinvent the wheel? Like, use your character that you liked and enjoyed and make it a bigger story. Like, put them in a bigger scene. Like,
so would you keep
I'm
the
a fan
format
of that. I think
him and Brad doing that show still, or would this be like more of behind the scenes of that?
So my concept for that in my head was almost treat it like a Beavis and Butthead, where it's already sort of like that, where they're talking about music videos, but instead, almost exactly the same format as Beavis and Butthead, where it shows him throughout his day, like he has to go to work, what happens, or he now is trying to create a video for YouTube or something, like,
right. It's
how
like
does
pretty
that
much
happen?
all the stuff that happens when he's not doing the normal Tucker Talk.
When he's not doing Tucker Talks, what happens? So and you just get those little snippets throughout the show, pretty much.
Oh, actually,
I think
that would be fun.
Yeah, I think it's So I'm actually on board with doing something like that. Much like you said, Brett, you already know these characters. You already know the lore behind them. You don't have to spend time recreating that stuff for an original character, even though that some original characters might appear kind of like the Dean, who is played by Hulk Hogan, which is a fucking hilarious character in China, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of like that idea of, hey, these guys were good in shorts. Now I'm given the chance to expand on their story. Fuck yeah, I'm going to drag them along for the ride and kind of, make them better than they were.
Totally.
Agreed.
So for that, I mean, that's wrapping up. We got one full stinker in Velma. We got a half stinker with redeeming qualities in Koala Man.
I'm going to watch the second season. Honestly, I'm going to be pissed if I end up really liking this show, because I probably will, but whatever. I'm not here. I also am not here to suck Michael Cusack's dick. Like, if I think he did something, like, if the show didn't turn out good, I'm going to say that.
You're
so
gonna
whatever.
fucking give it to him.
Yeah.
Rob, you got any final thoughts on any of these three? You're gonna go back and you're gonna go try and check out China, Illinois?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, I have. I just got. I told you I got a new guitar,
Yeah.
so I need things to watch while I'm practicing.
They're 11 minutes.
You
They're
got a
like
new
super
guitar?
small ones.
Oh, you told me that.
Yeah,
You told me
the new acoustic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just need to like stare at something while I do it.
Do it. Both are equally good. With that, I mean that wraps up a pretty good episode. Like, follow, subscribe, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. Go buy a mug. Go buy a fucking Toon Talk mug. It's the best. And we'll catch you on the next one.
We are the television.